What's up, friends? Jonny May here, and welcome to this quick tip where I'm going to teach you how to play what I call churchy piano. And if you've ever walked into a church, especially a gospel church, you might hear the pianist play just like this. It's got a really heavy blues style to it. And in this lesson, I'm going to show you exactly how to play in this style in 3 simple steps. And the amazing thing is that it is easier to play than it sounds. And I'm going to prove it to you in this lesson. So we're going to start with the first step. The first step is to simply learn the chord progression, and it's actually a very simple chord progression. We're in the key of G major. First chord is a G major, okay? Very simple. Second chord is where it gets cool. Check it out. Little B7, not hard to play, okay? Then we're going to go to an E minor, and then this is cool. We're going to play a G7 over a D. Okay, so it's like an inversion of a G7, and then a C major, and then C sharp diminished. Okay, really important chord, really hip in the gospel style. Okay, we're gonna move on. Next part is cool. Give it a listen. Okay, very traditional gospel piano with this little chromatic walk up. So we're gonna start with a G chord over a D, then we're gonna go B7 over D sharp. This is hip. This gets us to our E minor, which is really nice, and then a little E minor 7, and then to an A9, very crunchy, dominant chord, and then I love this chord. This is a D chord. We're not going to play a normal D major. We're going to put a C major over a D. It's called a D9 sus4, and then we're going to end with a little turnaround. It goes G major, then we're going to go to E 7 sharp 9, very crunchy chord we're going to use a lot in gospel music, and then A9, that's going to be there, and finally our D chord, we're going to take it back to that C over a D, okay? So once again, it's not a very hard chord progression. You absolutely can play this if you're a beginner. And before we move on to step number 2, I want to just groove on this for a minute. And then by the way, in step number 3, I'm going to show you how you can improvise just like I was doing at the beginning of this video. It won't be quite as hard, but it just, I wanted to get you excited about it as I was improvising. Okay, so once more on the chord progression, I'm going to lock you into a groove and then we'll move on to step number 2. Okay, here it is. And if you're at a piano, play along with me. 3, 4, G, 2, 3, 4 to B, 2, 3, 4, and E minor to G over D, and C, C sharp diminished, and then the walk up. Yeah, sounding great. And you can start to feel that groove. Okay, super fun. Love it, okay? I hope you're having fun. And before we move on to step number 2, if you're enjoying the lesson, please hit the like button and be sure to subscribe for the channel for more videos just like this. Every like and every subscribe helps the channel, so I do appreciate it. But I do want to move you on to step number 2, which is grooving, okay? We got the chords, but how do you groove on the chords? Well, I put together a very simple groove for you. You can play this regardless of your playing level. It sounds really good. I want to play it for you. I'll briefly break it down, and then we're going to jump into improv because I want to get you quickly to a point where you can start to lay down some of those churchy gospel blues lines on the right hand. Okay, here's how the groove sounds. Cool. And once again, it sounds good, not that hard to play, because here's the thing, if you want to play in the churchy piano style, you do not need to be a professional classical pianist. You can be a beginner pianist or a piano hobbyist, and you can play in this style without needing to learn a ton of theory and play tons of scales and arpeggios up the piano. It's clearly not that hard to play, and it sounds good. It grooves nice. Okay, so here's what I'm doing. I'm in G. I'm doing some jumping in the left hand. I've got G chord, right? And then I walk it up like this. You're going to see a lot of this. Right hand, I'm kind of walking down my chords using these first inversion chords. So I've got a second inversion chord here, and then like first inversion A minor, okay, and then a first inversion G. Okay, you're gonna see a lot of this kind of walking motion. Okay, I'll break down each measure for you, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, here it is, nice and slowly. We got the G to the chord. You're gonna come together. You with me? Okay, and this is hip. That is intentional. It's a G over B flat. We actually want that rub. It's very common in gospel music. Okay, next chord, B7 to the jump. Okay, and then we're gonna walk this down. Okay, and then F in the bottom, and then the E minor. And this is where we're gonna start to pulse, right? 1, 2, and then 3, 4, and then C, 1, 2, and then C sharp diminished, 3, 4. You with me? Not too hard to play. Okay, next part is cool. We're gonna go, okay, that's the G over the D, then the B7 over the D sharp, super hip, to the E minor, big octaves in the left hand. We're gonna finish it with an E minor 7, and then A9, just like that. Leave that bottom note down, twice there, and then the D, we're gonna play it like this, second time there, and then the turnaround. Turnaround goes like this. Okay, not hard to play. So we twice on the G, do the grab there, and then the E, that's twice, with the grab there, and then the A9, very hip. Okay, so twice on the A chord, you see that? And then once on the G, and then a quick grab on the D9 sus4. Okay, I'm gonna play the groove once more slowly with you, and then we're gonna talk about how to improvise over this chord progression. Let's do it slow together. Again, I hope you're sitting at a piano or a keyboard, because I encourage you to practice along with me. Here it is, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, Okay, it's sounding so good. I sure hope you're enjoying this lesson. And by the way, if you're enjoying this lesson and you want to go even deeper on playing gospel piano, check out pianowithjonny.com. We've put together the full learning curriculum to play in this style for beginner, intermediate, and advanced pianists. We have learning tracks where we take you step by step through each course and show you exactly what to practice. You're going to learn songs, you're going to learn styles, you're going to learn how to improvise, you're going to learn everything that you need to know. So be sure to check out Piano with Jonny. And final step, step number 3, I want to show you how to improvise, because improvising in this style is so much fun. It is unbelievable. Right, super cool, very gospel sounding. By the way, if you want to hear a full performance of me playing this just from start to beginning, the way I would improvise over the song, I have a full performance on my other channel. It's called Jonny May. I'll put a link to that below if you want to kind of just hear what this would sound like, from a pro perspective. Okay, so step number 3 is how to improvise in this style. So how do you improvise in this style? Well, first I encourage you to start with your left hand and just lay down a nice little solid groove, okay? When you're improvising over your left hand, you want to keep your left hand simple. I see a lot of students make this mistake where they try to play some, cool left hand with jumps or something really hard rhythmically, and my opinion is to just keep it simple. Notice my left hand is just laying down on the beat. It's called a 4 on the floor, okay? So, for your chords, G, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what I recommend, okay? Now, you can make it more, ornate if you're intermediate or advanced, but just start there, okay? B7, 1, 2, 3, 4. You see what I'm doing? I'm hitting the chord, and then I'm hitting the top 2 notes on the other beats, okay? Not very hard. E minor, we're gonna go 1, 2, and then G7, we're going to go 3, 4. Okay, again, we're just hitting the simple chord, and we're striking the top notes generally as we play the other beats. Okay, C is 1, 2, and then C diminished is 3, 4. Okay, then on the G, I'm going to go G, B, E, E. Makes sense? And then A, top 2 notes. D, it's going to be here, top 2 notes. Then back to the G, 1, 2, E is 3, 4. You see in the pattern? 1, 2, and then the D chord is 3, 4. Okay? Again, keep your left hand simple because that way you don't have to think a ton about your left hand. You can really focus. I'm not thinking at all about my left hand because my left hand is just kind of just grooving on the basic chords. Now, you can make your right hand sound amazing. There is a lot you can do, and when I'm improvising, I'm using more than these 3 techniques, but I've been doing this for many years. I'm very comfortable with it. If you're just getting started with this, you need to pick just a few key techniques that you can get started improvising with. So I laid out 3 techniques that I think are really good regardless of your playing level. First is what I call tight gospel chords. This is the sound of this technique. It is really cool. Notice when I was improvising, I was primarily using this very simple chord shape. Okay? These are second inversion diatonic chords. Here's what this means. If you're in the key of G major, these are all of your chords that belong to the key of G major. Okay? These are called the diatonic chords. And if you play these in second inversion, you get this sound. You get a G chord, and you get an A minor, and then you get a B minor. You see this? And then a C major, and then a D major, E minor, and then you get F diminished. However, in gospel music, we traditionally play a lot of these chords using what's called the Mixolydian scale. You just take your 7th and you lower it down. So you're going to play your second inversion diatonic chords, but instead of using the F sharp, you're going to use the F. So you're going to get this, okay? And this will give you a nice right? That gospel sound. A lot of choirs will sing these second inversion chords, tight gospel chords, okay? We're going to use this in our improv. And by the way, just to start with improvisation, lay down your bass line and just start making up some lines with this. So for example, with your tight gospel chords, you could do a line like this. See that? Bum, 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 bum. And then on your next line, do like that. That's very hip. And then how about on the E? What could you do here? Maybe, okay. Now, sometimes on your chords, you can adjust the notes. For example, on the E minor, you could go to your F sharp on this particular chord. So sometimes I'll modify these tight gospel chords just a little bit depending on the chord. You probably saw me do this earlier, but you know, sometimes you can use other scales. You kind of need to look at each chord, but for the most part, you can use this Mixolydian scale on a lot of these chords, right? Sounds pretty good, okay? On the diminished chord, you probably want to avoid these tight gospel chords. So practice improvising some lines. Notice I'm sliding too a lot on these tight gospel chords. That is a hip sound. You do a lot of that. Love the slide sound here. Okay, the second technique you can use a lot of is what I call power octaves. It's a very simple technique, but it'll give you that big sound, that driving sound you hear in a lot of gospel music. And so for this technique, I'm playing octaves up the piano, but instead of using the G major scale, which most pianists would use, I'm using the major blues scale. It is arguably the most important scale in gospel music, so much so that I literally call it the gospel scale. Okay, it's G, A, B flat, B, D, and E, and you can create some awesome improvisations with just these notes. Okay, notice I'm also sliding a lot of the notes, so instead of just playing that, I might go and slide up from the B flat, or I might slide down from the B flat. Very common. We're going to explore this a little more, but what I encourage you to do is just get comfortable playing your major blues scale in octaves and just making up some lines. Now, you can add some notes to it. Sometimes I'll add the C. Notice I added the C in there. So you can add some other notes, but these are the let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 notes that sound really good. The last technique that I really encourage you to use, this is technique number 3, is what I call the slide, tremolo, and fuller chord technique. And basically it's what I just did, but now I'm sort of combining it with fuller chords. So here's what this sounds like. Okay. Again, it sounds hard to play, but if you actually look at what I'm doing, I'm playing the notes from my major blues scale with octaves. I'm sliding those notes, but when I land on a particular note like D, I do the full chord. So I'm doing a 4-note chord, and then I tremolo it like that. Tremolo is generally where you rock the outer notes of the chord. You keep the 2 internal notes down as pivot points, and you just rock it, okay? So once again, major blues scale, whenever you land, you grab the full chord and you tremolo. See what I'm doing? So when you land, you slide on the land and you tremolo. It is a really hip sound. I use a ton of it, okay? So one more quick review. When you're improvising over this style, keep your left hand simple, okay? By the way, you can start with the groove that I taught you earlier. Just lay down that groove, play it once through, and then jump into your solo with a simple left hand. Maybe start with some tight gospel chords. Okay, maybe play a round of soloing with this, and then maybe the second time you get into those power octaves. And here's the power octaves. Notice how it's getting a little bigger. A little sliding, that's cool. Maybe mix them. And then the final technique. Okay, and you can have a lot of fun with this. Hey friends, thanks for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that it helps you take your playing to the next level, because that's my goal. Is I want to empower you and help you to be the piano improviser that you dream of being. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.